Hey friends, it's Paige Evans. I have a new process video to share with you today. I have 2 stamp sets available in JoAnn stores, and I want to show you a fun way to use the stamp sets. I basically created my own pattern paper circles. So here are the stamp sets. Each one comes with 7 wooden stamps and 3 different colors of ink. So I went ahead and die cut a whole bunch of concentric circles from smooth white cardstock. So there are 14 circles, and since I have 14 stamps, I'm going to stamp each one on one of the cardstock circles. So I am basically just putting the stamps on the circles, thinking of which one I want to stamp on which size circle. I do end up moving them around a little bit, but I just want to get a rough guesstimate of which stamp to use on which circle. And I love how these can be used for a variety of different themes and occasions. This layout that I'm making about my husband and daughter is just a very everyday life kind of theme. So here I am switching the stamps around, and then what I'll do is grab one of the circles and one of the ink pads. And it's helpful to have a piece of scratch cardstock so that the stamping over the edges of the circle don't get on your working surface. And I am stamping onto the ink pad and then stamping on the cardstock and repeating that until the entire image is covered. I'm just winging it. It's definitely not perfect. You will see the gaps between the images are not consistent like they would be if it was a traditional pattern paper, but I love the way it looks. I think it's fun to create my own patterns. Between each stamp, I am wiping off the stamp, and then I'll put it back into the plastic for storing. I'm basically going to repeat that same idea 14 times for all of the different circles and all 14 different stamps that come in the 2 sets. So here I've grabbed this pretty doily and a periwinkle ink, and I repeatedly stamped the doily all over that circle. I grabbed the green ink pad and this fun banner design, and I'm stamping it all across this circle. Sometimes there are little gaps on the edges, so I will add ink to just that edge of the stamp and stamp it in place. Next is this tree with the pink ink. I messed up on that first butterfly. I don't really mind if ink gets on the edge of the stamp, but on the very first one, I was like, I have another side. Might as well just flip it over and try again. And then moving on to the flowers and leaves, sentiments, creating my own pattern papers. You could do this with pretty much any stamp set that you own. You could also create custom wrapping paper. This would be a fun way to create an entire 12 by 12 background, is just to fill up a whole sheet of cardstock with stamps and different colors of ink. I only used 5 of the 6 ink colors. The last ink color is kind of a darker purple, and I want my layout to be very bright and pastel. So just pick and choose your favorite colors of ink to create all of these circles. I really like this frame stamp and filling in this one. It was kind of like a puzzle. When I was trying to come up with an idea for how to feature these stamps, I thought about doing teeny tiny mini cards and having one little stamped fussy cut image be the showcase of each little card. So that's another idea that I might consider doing next. Once I've finished stamping all 14 circles, they're concentric, so I'm just placing them, scattering them around, seeing how they look layered on top of each other, and I'm liking how this is looking, so I was excited that the idea that I envisioned in my head was actually coming to life. Sometimes I have ideas and they don't turn out. Sometimes I have ideas and they do turn out, so it's exciting when that does happen. I've grabbed a sheet of textured white cardstock, and I want to do just a little bit of mixed media on the background. I'm grabbing some white acrylic paint and a toothbrush. I like the fine mist splatters that a toothbrush creates, and it also can make larger droplets depending on how much water is added to the white acrylic paint. And then I did come in with a regular paintbrush just to create some of the larger splashes. Then I want to mix watercolors to match the ink pads, and this creates another layer of interest and pops of color on the background. Most of it will get covered up by the circles, but you'll still be able to see the paint splotches and acrylic paint drops peeking out from behind the edges of the circles. So a lot of the time I do like doing this on my scrapbook layout backgrounds with watercolors and white acrylic paint. I have a hair dryer at my scrapbook station that I use to dry the watercolors so I can continue moving on. Otherwise it would take a little bit longer to let it air dry. So I just have a hair dryer and speed up the process. I printed 3 photos of my husband and my daughter Jane, and I cut them out into circles. Since circles are the name of the game on this layout, I wanted my photos to be circles as well. And I chose 3 of them to go along with the idea of the visual triangle. So your eye goes from one to the other to the next. So I placed everything where I wanted it to be. I took a picture with my phone because I knew I was going to move them around as I adhered them in place. So I referred back to the picture on my phone to make sure I put them in the same place that I wanted them. I'm using dimensional adhesive to attach the circles in place so that they create shadows on the background and you get that depth, and it looks like the circles are popping right off the background. I'm using a pencil to draw my journaling lines, and I grabbed an aqua pen from my stash to match the aqua ink and wrote just a little caption about this everyday moment in our life. Underlined it, and now I'm using a few pieces from my Bloom Street collection, which will also be available in JoAnn stores. So from these enamel circles and hearts and flowers, I grabbed the white glitter dots and placed them all around the outside edges of the circles. And then from the mixed embellishments pack, there are sequins. So I placed them tone on tone. First, I scattered them around, and I actually like how this looks. So I'm kind of undecided whether I should go back and put the sequins like this. But in the end, I clustered them. So I have 3 purple flower sequins, 3 pink flower sequins, 3 green leaf sequins, and 3 silver sequins. And then I am going to adhere them in place with a little glue dot. So let me know if you like the sequins like this or if you prefer them scattered. I think both look great, so in the end it all works out. Here is the layout. Oh, I forgot to mention that I machine stitched around all of the circles to give them texture. So it's not a step that has to be done, but I love the texture that it adds. Here is one more look at my stamp sets. You can find them in JoAnn stores, and I hope you are inspired from this layout to pick them up and create your own pattern circles with these stamps. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you again in my next process video. Have a great day.